name is Tina, and welcome to the G-Sport Hub. We had an exciting week in both League of Legends and Valorant, and now that both esports having a little bit of a calmness, let's talk about the LJL, the Japanese League of Legends League today. I've been doing my weekly recaps every week that you can find on my channel, but this time around I want to do something different, because the previous Saturday was the last day of our first round robin, and we still had the day afterwards, but we are about halfway now. I think this is a great time to talk about overall power rankings and where each team stands and why. So let's start on the bottom and make our way up. Unfortunately, after that infamous loss streak last year, V3 still yet to find a series win in 2023 again. But remember, we are in BO3s starting this year, and V3 are not completely destroyed. They were able to take 2 games, one against Burning Core's newish lineup, we'll talk about them very soon, and one against FENNEL, our 4th place team. So what goes wrong for V3? I was talking about this a lot in my previous videos, but I think to a certain degree they are getting better in those. Now, I obviously won't expect them to take games off the likes of the Sengokus, the DFMs and the HAWKS, but even there you can see that their early game is not that bad, but they are just slowly bleeding too much gold, and that paired with their flawed mid-game, it puts them into an even more disadvantageous position. But the good points in this team that got them their 2 game victories are none other than AXIZ, their veteran voice who came back from coaching to play with them, and the old duo back from scouting grounds of jungler Hiroki and AD carry Dresscode, who with their early game aggression trying to get some lead going into the mid game. Honestly, I hope they will stick to this formula and with the help of AXIZ as well as their coaches, fix those small little details in the early game and better transition to the mid game. Then we have Burning Core, who while just finished the first round with a victory against V3, they are not looking too hot either. It was early February a few weeks ago when suddenly, without any reasoning, they just swapped out their new jungler to another new one. It's bizarre that we haven't really gotten any information on it. Cat doesn't really use social media. Breaking news, he just changed his bio to find team. I have no idea what's happening behind the scenes, but take it for what it is. And their new jungler, L, who previously played in Turkey, just shared a normal "hey, I'm here" tweet. No real info whatsoever, but both Cad and L are with Shadow Corp, one of the biggest agencies in Korea. So it also could be that Burning Core just requested a new jungler from them. After their lacking start of the split, many fans were kind of blaming Cad for their int moments. But L comes and BC is not really improving. So the question remains, do they just need more time? Because so far the only victories they have gotten were against other bottom teams. Okay, then AXIZ. With the same match score as Burning Core, just better game score, they are not looking too good either, even though they took a game off the HAWKS. The only reason they are in the top 6 is because of this better game score. AXIZ this year had kind of a reunion, because in 2021, the roster of Aino, Hoglet, Megumin, Honey and Nemo started splitting with a pretty bad 3-11 score ending last. But this wasn't the end of the story, because the same team got 3rd in summer regular season and even in playoffs only lost to DFM, who eventually won LJL. Now you could say it was mostly because of their star duo bot lane at that time, and for 2022, except Megumin, everyone left the team. But 2023 comes, and Aino together with Hoglet returning to Megumin with the new members of Johnny and Dicey. Now, this new bot lane is not bad by any means. Johnny had some pop-off moments that I highlighted before in my weekly recaps, but the team synergy is just not there yet. Now, with all that being said, AXIZ score doesn't necessarily reflect their real standing in my opinion. They are a solid mid-tier team. They clearly beat V3, but also clearly lose to the top teams. They had unlucky games against some of their closest competitors like BC that they lost, hence still sitting in 6th, but I honestly would be surprised seeing them miss playoffs. Then CGA, another team that had a mid-split swap. They are in the same realm as FENNEL or AXIZ in my opinion, mostly beating B3, though their first game against BC was only saved by Nap's amazing Gnar play and V3. But also mostly losing to our top 3, the Sengoku, HAWKS and DFM. I'm happy to see Yujo making the jump from V3 from last year, and while against CGA being a mid-tier team, he's still having a good performance. Same goes for Honey, their AD carry, who last year joined Sengoku but saw less and less playtime in a weird 6-man roster situation. So good to see him having a constant spot and carrying a lot of games for CJ. Now they also had Primo, one of their up-and-coming Japanese supports from their academy system, but after 2 losses and CJ seemingly struggled against top teams, he himself tweeted that. Sorry for only informing you on the match day, but I'm not strong enough to play in the LJL yet, so once again I got a little extra time to improve my skills. It wasn't for bad mental or other reasons like that. I hope you can look at that time as it's for creating a better team. I'll be back stronger. And while the LJL seemed to be a little too big of a stage for him, temporarily their coach Ku has subbed in as support. Their match victories ever since then were only against the V3, but they were able to take a game off from AXIZ and FENNEL, hence I said these 3 teams are probably the closest to each other. Now in the second round they have to face the big guys on the top once again, so let's see if Honey can do his magic once again, and if Ku, or Primo if he finds suitable to be subbed back in, can fit in this support position. And our last middle of the pack team is FENNEL. They are the definition of middle of the pack. Having a 4-4 score and beating every single team below them, as well as losing to every single team above them, they are a weird team. They were the first to take a game off of Sengoku, but also they were the first to take a game away to V3. So I guess perfectly balanced? On paper, they have a strong team though, with the only Korean top laner in the LJL, Tana, even though Tana suspiciously spoke fluent Japanese from day one.
正直私もここまでできるだと考えてなかったけど、アニメ、昔兄さんがアニメ一緒に見て、あの時からアニメ見たけど、それが10年くらい見たからこうなりました。
With a good old core of Hachimachi jungle and recap mid. They also have Lao, who has been middle of the pack in the same way in LCK, as well as Corporal coming off a great split in the LCO. And while I will talk about Sengoku later, finally, FENNEL's top laner Tena is the brother of AD carry Loken from Sengoku. Unfortunately, we had both of the brothers' battles matches already in the LJL, so no more of that, but both matches went into 3 games, so they're worth a watch. And those Sengoku matches as well just show how FENNEL is. They are not consistent at all, for better or for worse. Most of their games go to full length, even against teams they should be 2-0. But they can also punch above their height and take games off of DFM and Sengoku. At least they are in a somewhat of a safe position to go into playoffs and 100% worth watching their games. And when best of 5s come, who knows? Let's hope for a lot of silver scrapes. And then, moving on to our top 3, starting with DFM. If you are not following LJL this year, you may be wondering that DFM is only 3rd? But a lot has happened since last year, not just Abby leaving for Heretics, but also HAWKS and Sengoku had massive upgrades. I will talk about those later. Now, DFM. They kept most of the same roster from last year, except Arya is returning to the LJL, as well Abby is solo killing LS top laners, Totsui is stepping into one of the biggest shoes in the LJL. And let me start with him, because his first venture in the LJL was with AXIZ in a very bad situation. AXIZ had streamer turned to pro player Yellow Yoshi at that time in a famous Smite top meta where his Poppy exceeded exceptionally well, but as that meta went away, AXIZ as well started struggling and Totsu subbed in as a known Action and Draven top main. Yeah, that was not the greatest introduction to him. But what not many people know is that the same year he joined the DFM's academy team and played there for the rest of the season. He worked on his champion pool, and Totsu we see today is a completely different player. DFM is also one of those teams who beat everyone below them and only lost to the 2 teams above them, Sengoku and the HAWKS. Once again, I don't think they are playing worse than in previous years. Sure, they don't have Abby who could throw curveballs with his unique picks, or Gang who had insane engages on champs like Alistar or Ral, but the team is not worse. It's just that our other 2 teams have gotten better. So, let's talk about them. On the second place is the HAWKS, only losing to Sengoku. The HAWKS have been trying to create a super team for a while now, but ever since their entry to the LJL in 2020, they have been struggling with it. In 2020 spring, they finished totally lost, and ever since then, every single time until 2022, they just barely got into playoffs only to lose the very first match. Even in 2022 spring, after they got Kinatsu and Marble, two of the most hyped Japanese prospects, alongside the veteran Blank, they failed to live up to expectations. In summer though, they finally got into playoffs in a better spot, but they were clearly behind Sengoku and DFM. Now, going into 2023, they kept almost the same roster with all the hype around their superstars and upgraded support to Wista, who while just came off from a very bad split in LCK from a humble life, he still definitely had experienced those stages of League of Legends, even playing in AJL's glory days. Now, 2023, HAWKS are not always the cleanest team. They like to drop games to BC, AXIZ, and even CGA, but their only ever match loss was Sengoku, cementing themselves as clearly the second team. Even against Sengoku, they took a game, so don't write off them just yet. Definitely keep an eye on them. They are making every series fun to watch, for better or for worse. And just because they lost their first game with Sengoku doesn't mean they will give away easily the second one in the second round. And we have arrived finally to Sengoku Gaming, the LJL super team. After Abby leaving the region, there was the question who is the best top laner now. Some people were saying maybe Ray Farkey, maybe this new Tana guy who just comes here, but it seems like Paz takes back his crown. Before Abby's dominance, Paz was regarded one of the best top laners, and while he announced his retirement last year, due to Egoto not feeling like he's ready for the LJL, Paz decided to have one last ride with Sengoku. Keep in mind that Egoto did play a series against V3, so Sengoku definitely trying to integrate him eventually, but for now, Paz is their main option. Also staying from last year, the jungler wants their mid laner Jet and their support Anti. And that leaves us with, yes, Loken joined them as AD carry, and immediately he became one of the best AD carries in the LJL. And especially with Reaper joining as Sengoku's coach, they are by all metrics the super team. Not even communication can stand in their way because every single Japanese member on the roster can speak fluent Korean, and Loken, similar to Tana, from day one also speak fluent Japanese.
去年で SG に合流した AD ロコンです。めちゃ頑張るので応援させるとありがとうございます。
Sengoku are the powerhouse, only losing 3 games so far, but still undefeated in the matches. From those 3 game losses, 2 were to FENNEL and 1 was to the HAWKS. All their players have talked about how their aim is to have a perfect split and then win LJL and then go to MSI, and they are on a good track record for that. Now we have a whole another round, so a lot of things can happen until then. But at the moment at least, it seems like Sengoku may be the team we are sending to MSI, which would be a definitely refreshing view for international fans, as well as Reaper on board with a little more English insight probably. But as I said, it's still a long way down, and the HAWKS only ever losing to Sengoku 2-1, nothing has been decided just yet. The top 3 teams are all in punching distance with each other, and frankly it's amazing to see. And that was the first round. If you missed the first round, I hope that now you're somewhat caught up, and I hope to see you on the ride for the second round. Don't forget, LJL is on every Friday, Saturday and Sunday, as well as I'm translating all the interviews, making weekly content, so there are just so many things to watch. Make sure to follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I think those 4 that I have. So yeah, I'm just happy to make content, and I'm happy that apparently people like it. So make sure to be on this ride. It's very fun, and on to an amazing second round. Bye bye!